Look at me. What you perceive creates an illusion of who I am.
You don't know me.
You don't know me.
These arms hold the weight of my ambition. These hands craft efficiency. I build machines that gather light and give energy to my needs. Solar panels that power to make our future green.
You don't know me.
You just see me. My fingers are on the pulse of man's quest. I build robotics to inform what's next. In these innovations lie our success.
You don't know me.
I will belong to no limits. I code, I build, I create, I make.
You don't know me.
You don't know me.
You don't know me.
But you will.
Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new episode of Stand Up Sit Down, and on today's show I have the hilarious Mike Marino. Stay tuned.
You are now tuned in to Black Hollywood Live. Stand up, sit down.
There it is. There it is. There we go. There he is. How are you?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah. You know what I love? One, because it's like we were talking earlier, and I didn't know who you were.
Right.
And I mean, and not to say that in like you haven't accomplished a lot, but there's a lot of people who have done things that people don't know. And
exactly.
Then
Sure.
I did some research and I watched some of the stuff, and I'm like, yo, like this dude's funny.
I hope so. Yeah. All right.
You are a funny man, and so like it's always exciting to watch someone do their craft and then be able to come in and sit down and talk with them about their craft. So.
Hey, that's fantastic. And a lot of people say to me too that I'm a different animal on stage and off.
Yeah.
Because off stage I'm kind of quiet.
Right.
I don't constantly talk and perform, especially my stage persona is that of a so-called wise guy from New Jersey.
Right.
Whereas if on the street you'd met me, I'd be like, oh, hey, how are you? You need to go ahead of me in line and whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a different personality.
Yeah, because you literally become a beast on stage.
Which is called that before.
Which is a great thing, especially in the comedy world. Being a beast on stage is like it's a fantastic thing. So let's take it all the way back. All right. And I believe the music should cue down a little. There it is.
There it is.
Let's take it all the way back. Because you're from Jersey.
Yes. I'm originally from New Jersey.
So what was that like? What was life like for a young Mike growing up in New Jersey?
I was born in a town called Jersey City, which was a tough neighborhood. It's the city.
Yeah.
It's right outside New York. You take a 5-minute shuttle bus and you're in Manhattan, or you go underneath the Lincoln Tunnel and you're in Jersey City. So it was like a close-knit neighborhood, mostly Italians, especially on the entire block that I grew up on. Then I moved out to the suburbs, which was like all American. Everybody was about football and baseball.
Right.
I didn't start doing stand-up comedy till I was like 29, 30 years old. I grew up just wanting to be an actor. So from the age of 16 to like 23, I was on television all the time doing TV commercials.
Nice.
So I would commute from New Jersey to New York, auditioning for M&M's, bubble gum, potato chips.
Yeah.
And in the late 70s and the early 80s, you could make a lot of money doing television commercials.
Yeah.
And I had blonde hair and blue eyes, and well, I still got the blue eyes. I don't have the blonde hair, but I had it, so I looked so all-American.
Right.
You'd go on an audition in the city and say, cheeseburger, and you're making $25,000, and you're only 17 years old.
That's crazy.
Then, of course, the times have changed. Now it's all YouTube and social networking, so that life stopped.
Right.
So I moved to California because I wanted to get into television. And wherever I went, I would meet guys that would say, you should be a comedian. You sound like, some wise guy from New Jersey. And I'm like, why? That's funny?
Yeah.
And so I started doing it, and I enjoyed it.
Nice.
And the more stand-up I did at like the Laugh Factory or the Comedy Store in Hollywood, the more roles I ended up getting in movies and television.
Yeah.
Because you didn't audition, you were live somewhere, and somebody said, "Hey, you know, you're really right for what I'm doing.
Right.
The role's yours."
Right.
Which could almost happen just like you and I talking. You know, we're having a nice conversation, we're on the show, and all of a sudden a month goes by, and I'm like, "Hey, wait a minute, that guy on the show, he's perfect for this."
Right.
Then he call you up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like it's crazy the way that things work now. And like because I mean, like, you know, not having to go in and audition, because at the especially like the Laugh Factory, it's one of those places that it's an A+ room. Mm-hmm. And at any night, any point in time, could be celebrities in there, agents in there, managers in there, you know, so you really have to bring your A game every time you go in there.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. I'm actually glad that you said that, because I watch comics on a Friday or a Saturday night at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, prime time, thinking, "Now's a good time to work out something new." I'm like, no, no, this is your A game.
Right, yeah. This is the big show.
These people paying a lot of money, and there's thousands of people want your spot.
Right.
So take it seriously.
So, okay, so what was because people said that you should do stand-up. So then what was that first stand-up show like?
Oh, yeah. Well, there was a famous comedy club in New Jersey called Rascals. It was in West Orange, New Jersey, and all the top dogs were playing there. So on a Tuesday night, they had an open mic or a comedy competition. And I went in there on a dare.
Oh, wow.
And I went up on stage, and I'm like, well, I could do this. You know, I've been an actor my whole life. I could do this. And I just made fun of my mom.
The entire time.
And I won $50.
Nice.
And that's what got me into it. I figured, you know what, I could do this.
Yeah.
And then I learned that it's not as easy as it looks.
Right.
Because now you're not in that situation anymore where your friends are basically cheering for you.
Yeah.
And that's how you won.
Right.
So then you start going to all these open mics, and you're getting beat up and bruised and figuring out, do I want to do this? Is it worth doing this? And you keep on going, and as time goes on, you become a featured act, an MC. You start getting on some talk shows. You become a headliner, and now it's like drugs. I have to have it.
Yeah.
I want to go on stage all the time.
Yeah. Now, what was the first time you bombed? What was that like?
Oh, I think we used to bomb all the time. That was the lesson that you were supposed to learn.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to bomb. People will tell you all the time, like these big headliners, you become, you know, fans of these big headliners, and then say, you know, what do I need to do? And then, like, go out every night and bomb. In fact, bomb 3-4 nights a week, or twice a night.
Yeah.
I used to perform at the Comedy Store when I became a regular. I don't even remember how long ago it was. But it was me and several other guys who get on stage at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. There's nobody in the room.
Yeah.
And you're basically bombing because no one's listening.
Right.
But you become strong.
Yeah.
That's how you become the beast.
Right. Right.
Become the beast because you're working out so much that by the time the audience is there, you're stronger than the people who are working out in front of a full audience.
Yeah.
I guess it's just like going to the gym. You know, you want to be a bodybuilder and you're working out, then that big show comes and you're Hercules or a beast.
Yeah, you go out there and give the people what they came for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now, do people heckle you?
All the time. You know, I don't know if it's... You never know when you're going to get it. I mean, you know that. Some nights it's, you know, a drunk girl or a drunk guy or people who just don't speak English who decided now I should leave.
Right.
I'll get up and walk out while this man's performing, which makes you angry, so you have to have something to say.
Yeah.
My persona tends to not get heckled.
It's good.
Because the persona makes people think, you better not say anything to this guy. He sounds like he could slap you in the parking lot anyway.
Right.
But every once in a while you do. Thursday night at the showcase, this guy was heckling me. He said he was from Iceland. And I brought him into my show, and I tried to be nice, and eventually I just tortured this poor guy.
Yeah.
I even warned him. I says, you know, this is all I do.
Right.
You're not going to win.
Right. But people, I don't know why people do it. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, I guess, you know, because people want to feel important or they want to get a little attention and this and that, but then...
I agree.
You know.
Yeah, they want to be part of the show. Right. Maybe so they can go home and tell their friends, hey, guess what I did? Or,
Yeah, it could be it. Yeah.
because it's really the only format of performance where people actually think it's okay to talk to the performer.
Yeah.
Unless it's a type of comic or performer who asks questions.
Right.
What's your name? What do you do? Where you from? And then, you have to participate.
Right.
Or he makes you participate. I don't want anybody to participate. I want to do my monologue and I want to go home.
Yeah.
But, you never know.
Yeah, no, I don't know. People nowadays they're special. We'll just say that. And I mean, maybe this is just me, and I don't know if you've seen this, but have you seen a change in the audience? Because I feel like audiences today aren't as smart as they used to be.
Well, yeah, I think they call that the millenniums or millennials or whatever they call
Millennials?
them. Millennials.
Yeah.
It could be, everybody's afraid of what's going on in the streets. All this cop things that are going on and the protests that are going on. So if you say something a little out of the way, everybody's going, "Oh, watch out, watch out." The comic is going to cause a lot of problems. But I tend to not to. I don't want to. I stay away from it. I'll make it about me.
Yeah.
So nobody can complain.
Yeah.
I mean, even within my own culture. I mean, my parents are from Italy. So when I say, the Italian people, the wise guys, the Italian people, if somebody said to me, "You shouldn't say that. You're pigeonholing the whole group of Italians," then I say, "Okay, my family. You happy now? I just left you out.
Right.
Now it's about my family. You can't even get mad at me."
Yeah.
The truth is always going to be funny.
That's true.
If you make something up, people might giggle. But if you tell the truth, people will laugh no matter what culture they come from because they're going to relate to it.
Right.
So if you talk about food, everyone's going to get it. Everyone eats.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
And so on.
But now,
love, passion, everybody gets that. We do that.
yeah.
Take it down the wrong street and people go,
But do you like? Because I know some comics like to make people feel uncomfortable and have them laugh at things in public that they would normally laugh at in private. But bringing out that, like whether it's a racist joke, whether it's a sexist joke, or this or that, yada, yada, yada. But if it's funny and people feel like kind of guilty laughing at it, but they still do.
Yeah, I get what you mean. And I know there's some guys that like to take that challenge.
Yeah.
I always based my act on what's really going on in my own personal life. And, I worked out in the Comedy Store and I worked at, the Laugh Factory. But when I was on the East Coast and there was not that many places to go to an open mic, in New Jersey, right outside of New York, Brooklyn, you would go into some areas some people didn't belong. And you'd tell jokes in a bar and you'd be happy if you made it home.
Wow.
But I was so hungry to do it,
Yeah.
to get stage time, that you would challenge it. I remember the first time I did a set in Compton. They had an open mic at a Roscoe's Chicken and Waffle House.
Wow.
And I went down there, I'm like, yeah, I think I could do this. And I was new to the area.
Yeah.
I walked in there, I'm like, holy mackerel, this might not be such a good idea. But I had friends that were like, you can do it, and then I did. And a lot of guys, comics would be like, how are you crossing over like this? I'm like, I don't know if you noticed or not, but I didn't change my act because of who was in the room.
Right.
I just kept on going with my own point of view.
Yeah.
So I used to do chocolate Sundays all the time. I used to do Fat Tuesdays all the time. And whenever I walked out on stage, I would never acknowledge the difference in the audience, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I just did what I did.
Yeah.
And then like, okay. He didn't even flinch.
Yeah. Well, okay, but now let me ask you this. So, New York and LA, those are two totally different cities, two totally different audiences, right? Which city is tougher?
You know what? They're both very tough because let's say you perform in Manhattan, most of the people are tourists, believe it or not.
Okay.
And all the tourists coming in from so many different parts of the world, sometimes you get people who don't even speak English, but they want to go see a show.
Right.
So if they're not laughing, you're like, why is this not working? And, it's a tough crowd. And the comics in New York are strong. They're always usually really, really good because they work hard. I mean, life is tough in the city.
Yeah.
And, when it snows, it's hard to get around. And, a lot of angry people. But then you come to Hollywood, and I think everybody's just jaded. And I think the audience, so I'm going to say the audiences in California are more difficult.
Oh.
Yep. Especially during the week. During the week.
Yeah, sure. Because people are out, paid their money, and because we did this calculation last week of going to a comedy show, right? So by the time you get in your car, you get there, you park, pay for your ticket, your 2-drink or 2-item minimum, you may buy a little more. It's going from like $50 to $100.
Easy. Guy on a date is going to drop $100.
Right. So they want to laugh.
Yeah. You got to bring it.
They want a show. Yeah.
Got to please that crowd. I mean, I know I do. I like a good challenge. I like watching other comedians perform. I prefer they did do fantastic jobs. Like when I go on the road and I have an opening act and he's got to do 15 minutes and I got to do an hour, I'm hoping he's going to destroy the place and make it easy for me to just keep on going.
Right.
Sometimes you meet these opening acts in the middle of nowhere and they go on stage for an extra 10 minutes and they didn't do all that great and you're kind of like, come on.
Because now you got to dig out that hole that the mood's all down.
I think it was a couple weeks ago I did a concert in my hometown, Jersey City, and it was about maybe 600-700 people, and they put a band on stage. The band was supposed to do like a half hour. They were on stage an hour and 15 minutes. A rock and roll band, doing cover tunes.
Right.
And I'm like, look, there's only one way out of this. I'm going to be making fun of you for the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I did.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you going to do?
That's funny. Are there any jokes that you would apologize for? Like if someone got offended and you're like, okay, I'm going to no. Thank you. Thank you for that.
I don't have anything to apologize for. I mean, the only time I ever thought that I needed to apologize to anyone is because they were heckling me, but I put them out to bed in such a nasty way that maybe they could have expected an apology from me, but it's their fault.
Right.
Because I give them the choice.
Right.
You don't have to talk if you don't want to. I think you should stop now. Perhaps you've had too many drinks.
Yeah.
Would you like a cup of coffee? You're dead.
Yeah.
And then you just go for it. And then they'll come up to you after the show and you ruined my girlfriend's birthday party. I'm like, no, she ruined it herself. Shouldn't have sat in the front.
Did you ever get in a fight with anyone after a show?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people come up to me, want to take me out, knock me out.
Really?
But it wasn't really my fault. It was always somebody else's fault. There was this one, I think it's the greatest one. After the show, some girl came over to me and she wanted to buy some merchandise. I was selling CDs and DVDs, And it's an impulse buy. You kind of got to move this along.
Yeah.
So people were buying some merchandise. I was having fun. So this girl, she's like, you got to sign my boobs. And she spread her shirt open. I says, no, that's not me. I don't do that.
Right.
No, come on, just sign my boobs. And I'm like, no, I don't do that type of thing.
Right.
If you want to buy a CD, no. But she was getting in the way of all the people wanting to buy,
right,
which is making them want to leave.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, fine. And I signed the top of a boob. All of a sudden, 5 minutes goes by. Her husband comes back inside, and he goes, I'm going to take your head off. And I'm looking at the guy. I'm like, did you think it was my fault that this happened?
Right.
Was it me that took your wife and said, get against the wall. I'm not leaving till I sign your boobs. But he was waiting for me.
Yeah.
It was on. Game on. Yeah, it was a bunch of cops in there, and they're like, we're going to calm this guy down. Jeez. But then you really feel like saying, hey, pal, what's on your mind? Yeah. You really think that was something I did?
Right.
I didn't want to have nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I was like, I guess you're not buying a CD.
Maybe they have a terrible marriage, you know what I mean? And she was like, or maybe like she was doing it to get back at him for something that he did, so I'm gonna make him jealous and I'm gonna have this guy just sign my boobs.
Right? Could you imagine that? And then I walked outside and I got cracked in the back of the head with a baseball bat because I signed some stranger's boob.
Right.
Then it's my fault. Then you got to explain that to your girlfriend.
Right.
Why did that girl have her husband beat you up? What did you do? I'm like, it's all my fault.
I'm like, well, she had these tits, right? And
I'd never seen them before.
Yeah. They're in my hand, and then someone put a marker in my hand, and, that's funny.
I had a guy come up to me after a show, and he goes, "I'm going to knock you out. You said this, this, and this." And I'm like, "No, that was actually the other comedian. Did you drink that much? We don't even look alike."
That's terrible. That's just terrible. What is your joke writing process like? Like, how do you come up with new ideas and keep stuff fresh?
Everyday life, the political campaign, what Trump says, what Hillary says, whatever's going on in real life.
Right.
Getting older,
But
growing up.
Do you like physically write these jokes down, or do you like take notes, or do you like bullet points? Like, what do you
I'm
do?
a very unorthodox comedian. I've never written anything down.
Wow.
What I used to do, and I do once in a while, is I just write the subject, and then the body of what it is just remains in my mind. So if I wanted to talk about shopping, let's say, I just write the word shopping, and then I go on stage and I come up with ideas about that. Or family, politics, I write the word. Dating, I just write the word.
Right.
And then I add and subtract. And then let's say 5 years goes by and you're not doing that stuff anymore. Another couple of years will go by, you open up that page and you're like, you know what, I'm going to talk about that again. And then you have a fresh take on it.
Yeah.
Plus, the world is changing so much that any subject matter that you were doing 15 years ago, you couldn't do now. It won't even make any sense.
Right.
I mean, I can't really talk about a rotary phone anymore. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. Well, some do. Not everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nice. So how long does it take, to whittle that joke down to where like, okay, like this is like TV ready, or this is like, pristine prime now?
Yeah. It could take a couple of years to really hone a joke,
Yeah.
I think. I remember when I was first doing stand-up, someone said to me, it's going to take you 7 years to become a headliner. Then it'll take you 2 more years to get rid of everything that you learned and did. Then another 5 years are going to go by and you're going to be ready to be a headliner again. Because you do change.
Yeah.
You said yourself you were working on Brooklyn Nine?
Brooklyn Nine-Nine, yeah.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yep.
So maybe you weren't doing stand-up as much when you were on the show.
Yeah.
And then the show's over and then you go to do stand-up again. You're like, oh, wait a minute, what did I used to do?
Right.
How did that joke go? Why did I even do that? and then you lose it.
Yeah.
And then you keep doing some new stuff, and then you're like, oh, this is how I did it, and you bring it back to life.
Right. Right. So you never throw jokes away then?
Well, you never know. You might need it someday. And then there's the jokes you make up live.
Yeah.
Because
those are always fun.
Something happens. It's the gem.
Yeah.
I don't know how many months ago it was. I was on tour with Dean Martin's daughter, Dina.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this is like the closest to the Rat Pack you're going to get.
Yeah.
It's his daughter. And I've opened for her many times. So there's a couple thousand people watching. The band's on stage. It's about a 10-piece band. And I go on as the opening act. Well, the sound wasn't working. And they had a problem. So the producer comes backstage and he goes, all right, we cue the comedian. Let him go up there and eat some time. But it was outdoors. So he handed me a bullhorn from a cop car. Oh, wow. And I looked at him. I go, are you serious? And he goes, well, we don't know what to do. I'm like, well, actually, you just handed me a gift. And I went on stage and I had people dying because I was doing the routine through the bullhorn. Right. But it wasn't my real routine. I was just making fun of my life because this is what I become. Yeah. A comedian who talks through a bullhorn. Yeah. And then I opened with all I ever wanted to say in my life was palaver. So now they're thinking it's part of the show. Right. And everybody's laughing, having a great time. So now the sound comes on, and I put the megaphone thing down, and I begin my routine. And I introduce the act. The act was over. I came back out on stage, and I came back out with the bullhorn. I started it all over again. Nice. So, that's the fun of it. But you're never going to do that routine again. Right. Unless someone hands you a bullhorn at a show. Yeah.
Or, you can just buy one and then just have one in the car just in case something happens.
I don't know. I think if there's going to be a problem, I should have some speakers.
Or yeah.
Or a microphone. Can you imagine somebody handed you a megaphone? Here you go.
Yeah.
Come on, you can do it. You're a comedian, right? Make this funny.
Yeah, no, like I've done comedy without a microphone. I had to just talk loud, and that felt like theater, I guess, because there's no physical microphone, there's no stand. My hands were free, and I was able to. Then I started doing more act outs because I felt uncomfortable not having something in my hand while I was doing it. So it made me grow like in that sense. But I feel that some of the jokes suffered because like I didn't, I wasn't able to lower the voice for some punchlines and stuff.
I was working on some new stuff at a comedy club in Las Vegas, and the other comedian in the show was from Texas. He was a cowboy, and I was doing this whole joke about the G.I. Joe doll wasn't in the army. He was a mob boss, and when he pulled his string, he ordered 2 slices of pizza and a Coke. I made it silly like this, and I said his name wasn't G.I. Joe, it was G.I. Joey. So the cowboy comedian backstage says to me, he goes, "Why don't you say G.I. Giovanni?" And I go, "Because I'm not going to have a guy from Texas write an Italian guy from New Jersey a joke for me." He goes, "Come on, $20 says it works." And I go, "Listen, I really appreciate that, but I'm not going to do it." And he goes, "Come on, I really want you to do it." So I said, "All right." So I got on stage and I said the word, and we didn't call him G.I. Joe, we called him G.I. Giovanni. And the place erupted.
Yeah.
And they're laughing, and I could see him going like this with his hat in the back. So I point and I go, "Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell a lie. This joke was written by the Texan right there who's on stage next." But I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and every time I do the joke, sometimes I always say, "That name came from a Texan."
That's funny. Has anyone ever taken a joke from you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What, like, were you
I didn't know that
there?
question was going to come out. You mean are there thieves out there?
Yeah. Snakes in the grass.
Concepts we can't, control.
Right.
Everybody's going to talk about food. Everybody's going to talk about family. Everybody's going to talk about dating. But when you have, I have signature bits that people couldn't take. If they did, someone would bark pretty quickly.
Yep.
It'd be like me saying, "Get her done."
Right.
And it's a very signature bit, and that's his, and no one's ever going to do it but him. And I got a thing I do with Vinny Get the Bat, and some comics were doing it. But they actually got shut down by other comedians who said, it's a signature bit, it's been around a long time.
Yeah.
But then I had some other bits that were tweaked, not changed that much, and then done on a TV set on television. So when I went to go do it, all of a sudden I'm the thief.
Right. Right.
That's horrible. That's a horrible feeling. Especially when the people who take it you've been working with. So it's kind of like, hey, now you had to have seen I was doing it.
Yeah. Of course they have.
Didn't we go to the diner when the show was over? I mean, come on.
Right.
So I guess that's always gonna happen.
So I mean, but then do you keep doing the joke, or do you just stop doing it and just do another joke?
I would stop.
Yeah.
Unless I really needed it.
Yeah.
You don't really need it.
That's true. Yeah, because you
You
can always
don't really need it.
You can always write another joke.
Or something else.
Yeah.
A different take on it.
What do you think about, especially now, like in this day and age, where there's a lot of social media, first it was Twitter and Facebook, and now you got Instagram and you got Vine, and so you have a lot of these kids who are making these videos and doing these, short, quick clips that are based off of stand-up routines from comics. But a lot of these comics, like, you wouldn't necessarily know unless you know the comic, because they may not have, some of that footage on YouTube or Vimeo or whatever, you know what I mean? So if you were scrolling through Instagram and you saw this kid literally do your joke, just act out your joke, what is your response to that?
It's tough because I've actually seen it a few times. And we can say kids too, because they were teenagers. So you're flattered because it's like, wow, he found that and he made a scene out of what you're doing. So I would say, hey man, this is the real guy you're impersonating. I am Mike Marino, and thank you very much. Can you tell your friends that you got that from me, and send your friends and fans to my channel so I can capitalize on what you're doing?
Yeah, because you wrote the material, like you wrote the script basically, and they're just out there just with the phone and a and a couple.
The only
of
thing
friends.
that would stink is you found out that they're making a lot of money off it.
A lot of these kids are.
Yeah, well,
A lot of these kids.
I am not making any money. I had the 9 million views on Facebook, but it was because I was on the Byron Allen show.
Yeah.
and the clip went viral, but it was because people kept on splitting and sending, and then one guy on his Facebook got the 9 million. I didn't. And I kept writing to him, hey, listen, could you say who I am?
Right.
Say my name.
Right.
Make a link to me. Do something.
Tag me.
You know,
Just tag me
me.
in the post. Right.
Won't do it.
Wow.
I don't know. And he can't be making money off of it because it's on the Byron Allen show.
Right. Well,
So-
and Facebook, like you can't monetize videos on Facebook yet. So that's the good news. Now, you can take that and put that on YouTube, or through Instagram or whatever to, help get views and this and that, and then help, put your numbers up, and then you can start monetizing that way. But yeah, it does suck that someone's literally taking.
I think the good thing for stand-up comedians is that we can go on the road and tour.
Yeah.
So if you want to go on the road and tour, and you get all these hits and all these people watching what you're doing on any social media outlet, then you'll start selling out the venues, and no one could touch that money,
Right.
and no one could touch you in regards to what you're doing on stage, because you know how to perform live.
Yeah.
You've trained for it. So if these kids that are making these videos were ever asked to go out on tour, well, what are they going to do? Just sit there and go, oh, here's my video.
Well, some of them have tried to get on stage, and some is terrible. Like there's a few, and I say few, like 3 or 4 that are actually decent, and the rest of them, like they can't put 3 minutes of material together, and because there's no delete button, there's no go back, there's no cut. Let's redo it. Like this, and it's just you.
Surprise.
Right. Like it's a totally different beast. It's a totally different animal, and so I mean, kids are, it's instant gratification.
I get people come up to me all the time. He goes, wow, that was great, man. How do I get into stand-up? I could do that. I'm like, yeah. Good luck. Go ahead. Well, how'd you get into it? I don't remember.
Yeah.
I can't help no more, man. I give people advice all the time. They don't listen.
Yeah.
They're just not going to listen.
So this joke that was on the Byron Allen show that went viral, what happened from that? What grew from that?
Well, I got 2 movie roles, actually. Some producers watched the show. They went over to the Laugh Factory, and they were like, you should be an actor. And I do come from acting. I always was. And so I got a movie called Pizza with Bullets with Talia Shire and Vinny Pastore.
Nice.
And I played a priest. And, it was, although it was funny, it was not a comedic role. It was a serious role. I just finished this movie called Criticized, where I'm actually the co-star. And it's a thriller. It just came out a couple weeks ago in a film festival, and it won Best Picture. And it's going to do really, really well. It comes out in December in movie theaters throughout the country. And, I play a detective looking for the murderer, and everybody will find out what happens to me.
But it's a serious role. Like
Serious role, yeah.
Do you like drama?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was digging it big time, man. I got to drive around the cop car. I had to shoot my gun.
Nice.
One of the greatest things about that type of thing is they put the cameras on the car, and you're speeding down the street, and you got to get your lines right.
Yeah.
And you got to make sure the other guy gets his lines right, and you jump out of the car and you start shooting, and the whole time you're doing it, the director's under the front seat with his camera. It was sick.
Yeah.
But that's fun. Then you go out at night and you crack jokes. You can actually talk about making the movie
Right.
and make that funny.
Right.
It was making people laugh while we were filming.
Yeah.
When I did the movie with Vinny Pastore and Talia Shire, I was calling my family going, I can't believe this, but I'm in a scene with Talia Shire. She was Adrian in Rocky, and she was in The Godfather, and I couldn't wait to meet her. And she was asking me, do you think I'm being funny in this scene? How's my comedy? I'm like, wait right here. I got to call my brother.
That's crazy.
They won't believe what she asked me.
Yeah.
I was all excited.
Yeah. So now, like, what has probably been the coolest moment besides that? What has been the coolest moment of your career?
I'm going to say, luckily, I've been having a lot of cool moments. But let's say this. Do you know the actor Danny Aiello?
I've heard the name.
Danny Aiello was nominated for an Oscar for Best Male Performance in Moonstruck.
Okay.
But he was in Spike Lee's movie. I forgot the name of the movie. Do the Right Thing.
Okay.
and a lot of movies. He was in The Godfather. He was in a lot of movies. He saw me live in concert, and he came up to me after the show and said, I think you're a genius. I love your work. I've been following you for a couple of years.
Wow.
If there's anything going on that you want to talk to me about, I'd like to play your father in a sitcom. And I'm like, okay now.
Wow.
So we're friends, and we talk once in a while, and I'm hoping that that's going to happen. I had Joe Montana tell me he likes my work. John Voight tells me he likes my work. I went on tour with Robert Davi. These are the aha moments.
Yeah.
I mean, John Voight is a big star, and he saw me doing stand-up, and he came over to me, and he goes, I didn't know whether I knew you or we were friends or you were part of my family. Then I realized this guy's just funny. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I remember one time at the Laugh Factory, this is a while ago, it was a small night, maybe 20 people in the room, and I was last. So I'm just rehearsing, doing a couple of things, and the MC says, there's one more comic. So then you know a celebrity's going to show up and walk in.
Right.
So introduce Robin Williams. So Robin Williams comes on stage, and he spent 20 minutes impersonating me.
Wow.
And everybody took out their phone and were filming it.
Yeah.
Everybody but me. I'm like, there's my phone. Who's going to believe me?
Right. No, yeah, and that cause you can play that now and just like.
I wish I had it. I'm actually the comic that went on stage after Michael Richards had his meltdown.
What okay, what was that like? Like, what were the other comics saying and things? Like, what was the conversation?
You know, it's really funny because I think for the first time in my life, I really saw the controversial tabloid situation unfold,
Yeah.
but for real.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really there.
Yeah.
And what had happened was they have 3 shows, 8, 10, 12. I was in the 12 o'clock show. He was closing the 10 o'clock show, Michael Richards. All right, now this is Kramer.
Yeah.
And if you're familiar with this whole big thing that he did, the people came into the line for the 12 o'clock show, the ones that he had the problem with. And they said to the doorman, who's on the midnight show? It's my friend's birthday, and we want to get him razzed. So the doorman says, well, he is. And I go, hey, how are you? I'm Mike Marino. He goes, can you razz my friend? He's going to be 21. You know, this is his birthday.
Yeah.
And I just said, well, maybe they should go in now so that they can catch Michael Richards on stage.
Yeah.
And the guy goes, sure, go ahead. So they went in, and they went into the top deck. Now, mind you, I'm standing next to Sinbad. I always wanted to meet Sinbad. I never had a conversation with him. I never met him, and this is my chance to talk to Sinbad.
Yeah.
He wasn't in the show. He was just hanging out.
Right.
You can't make this up, bro. And all the comedians in the back waiting to go on in the midnight show, including myself. So when the kids went upstairs, they weren't really razzing the comic, Michael Richards. They were ordering drinks. Mind you, I don't think anybody in that party was black. There was some Latinos and some white guys and girls. And so they were just being a little rowdy because they were celebrating a birthday. So any good comic on stage would have brought them into the routine.
Right.
Oh, maybe happy birthday, man. How about a drink?
Right.
What can I do to make you feel good? Something. You don't have to do anything. And the show was coming to a close, so they were starting their night. So I think he said to them, it's my friend's birthday, dog. Razz him up. You know? So he just looked up there and said, you know, well, you just shut up and I'm going to do my thing. And he goes, oh, yeah, man, it's my friend's birthday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He could have stopped this in seconds by saying happy birthday. One more time, and that's when the N-word came out profusely. And I was kind of like, wait a minute. I don't know if he could see through the lights. There's no black guy up there. He wasn't up there.
Yeah.
There was others, yes,
Right.
of course. The place was packed.
Right.
So now all of a sudden Sinbad's going, did he just say what I think he said?
Right.
And all the other comments like, where's he going with this? Where's he going to go with this? And then it got worse.
Yeah.
And nobody really saw the part where he was saying how much money he's worth. I could do this because I'm worth this much money, something like that. So the whole thing becomes a fiasco, and no one knows what to do.
Yeah.
Because the waitresses were afraid to go back in the room and hand out their credit cards and get cashed out.
Right.
I think it was going to be a riot. And there's no bouncers in here. The doorman, what's he going to do?
Right.
So they asked the kids to leave, and they were getting pushed out. Of course, they were all irate. They just got there.
Yeah.
And Michael Richards just kind of threw the microphone on the floor, and he walked towards the back. So Jamie Masada, the owner, comes up to me and he goes, Marino, come on, man, clean this up. And I'm like, what? I'm not next. I wasn't next. I was,
Show's over, right?
no. So I went up on stage, and the MC brought me up, and I just was like, okay, how am I going to make these people feel okay?
Yeah.
So I went like this. I says, you black people in California, you kind of make me laugh, because if he talked like that where I'm from in New Jersey, they'd have stabbed him 6 times before he ever got off the stage. What are you waiting for? He's right over there. And I pointed. And then I went, it's a good thing he didn't say nothing about us Italian people. And that was it.
Yeah.
And I got a thunderous round of applause.
Right.
And everybody just kind of was like, okay, well, let's just take the ride with this guy.
Right.
And I never got the light. I just kept on going. And the night came and went. And to me, another night at work.
Right.
To everybody in the room, another night at work. It wasn't till Sunday that it broke in the news at Chocolate Sunday. And then I got in 2 magazines. I was in the Boston Globe. I was in the Chicago Gazette, whatever, for being the comedian who went on next. And I'm like, man, I got to get some play out of this.
Yeah.
I didn't even see this coming.
Yeah.
Do you know he was in the next show Saturday night? And I remember when Jamie came up to me and goes, listen, Michael Richards is next, so you introduce him and bring him up big. I'm like, are you crazy? I'm like, what, for what?
Right.
For what, man? Well, he's really nervous. I go, well, he should be.
Yeah.
Come on now. But you know what's funny? No one really thought much till Sunday, and then it hit the news, and it hit hard. And you don't see him no more, do you?
No, I mean, not out. I actually ran into him randomly. And I was like, wow, like, this is Michael Richards. Like, I didn't say anything to him. I just like saw him walking, and I was like, oh my God. But yeah, it was like weird, like just looking at, because like I'm a Seinfeld fan, and so like I've been a fan of the show for years, and then you see that happen, and then you see him like in person, and then you're like, oh, it just changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really weird, because you really feel like going, is that what all this success does to you?
Right.
Why even go out? Stay home.
Right. Yeah.
We're all making $25, $30 here. What are you gonna do that for? I need my $50, bro.
Yeah, messing up the night. But I mean, like, and because Chris Rock, I believe it was him who watched the video, and saw him and was like, well, it's like as a black man, like it was a little much, but as a comic, you're like, he's having a bad set.
Yeah.
Like, he's just having a bad set.
a real bad set. But the next night he did great.
Yeah, well,
But
like,
he don't have to be great. He's a star.
Yeah.
He just has to show up, and people are like, oh my God, it's him.
Right. But like that's what it takes though. Like it takes you having that terrible, but being able to go back on stage the next night and be like, okay, like I can still do this. But having a meltdown on stage is not good.
I never melted down. I never threw a fit. Maybe because I'm not a millionaire.
Yeah. Little things don't get you super mad yet.
No.
That's
At
good.
this Saturday night, a couple of people decided to get up and walk out during my set, and I actually was just asking them, like, what made you think this is a good time to leave?
Yeah.
And I don't think they spoke English, because they didn't look back. And it was getting laughs and everything, but
Yeah. Or maybe they had to go home to the baby or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm giving them terrible excuses, but I don't know. You were inducted into the New Jersey Comedy Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
What was that like? How did you find out? Did they send you a letter or what? What was the thing?
There's 2 Hall of Fames. Well, there's probably more than 2, but there's the New Jersey Hall of Fame, and then there's the Comedy Hall of Fame in New Jersey. So the Comedy Hall of Fame is for stand-up comedians and comedy performers. So they have Abbott and Costello from New Jersey,
Nice.
Jerry Lewis, me. I think I was 3rd or 4th inducted into it.
Wow.
It was a while ago. I want to say maybe 10 years ago. It was great. I had no idea it was coming. I was performing at Monmouth University, which is a college down on the Jersey Shore. And they came up to me that night and said, "We have a surprise for you." And they handed me the big trophy. And they said, "You've been inducted into the Jersey Hall of Fame." I'm like, "Whoa.
Yeah.
Now could I be in the Jersey Hall of Fame?" Because Springsteen's in that one. Bon Jovi's in that one. You know,
Yeah.
Danny DeVito. All these famous people who came from New Jersey.
Yeah.
There was a thing in the news, I would say a week ago. It came out in a paper, and it said famous Italians who remain in touch with their roots in Sicily.
Mm-hmm.
And I know my mother's roots, which is in Campobasso, but I didn't know my father's roots in Sicily. I'm not very familiar with it. So it said Mike Piazza, Alicia Keys, John Bon Jovi, and the comedian Mike Marino. And I'm like,
Nice.
that's a great group of people.
Yeah.
I didn't know Alicia Keys was Italian.
I didn't either. Yeah.
What's going on here? Maybe she got half and half or something.
Yeah. No, she's half.
What is she?
She's half black and half Italian. Apparently.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, that's a good breed.
Yeah. No, she
Maybe that's
did
not her
well.
name. Is that her married name?
I mean, that's her stage name, Keys. Because I don't feel it's a real name. But it's probably like her last name could be something like really
Keysio.
Italian, right? And then like, I don't know if this would work for music, so let's throw Keys on there. You play the piano, boom,
Alicia
Grammys.
Keys. She's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah. What do you regret anything in your career?
No. What would a regret be? I mean, I've never been married and I have no children.
Mm.
So I think maybe there would be a regret that never happened. People always blame it on the career. You travel too much.
Right.
I blame it on the fact I just never was in that situation that I said, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to do, and let's have a couple kids.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen. So is it going to happen now or maybe later in life? Hopefully.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that's really a regret because I do love being in showbiz. I love traveling.
Would it, you think, have hindered your success though? Like, you know, having a wife and then kids, and you know, because that balance that you have to maintain, but you know, you're on the road all the time. It's
Yeah, well, lately and for the last couple of years, I've been traveling like crazy. So I don't know if it would have been that great of an idea.
Yeah.
You know, how you're traveling all the time, and your wife's going, you know, your kids are
grown now.
yeah.
yeah. Like they were babies when you left, and now they're walking and talking, you know, driving cars.
Yeah. See, your son has been caught stealing. How did he get caught? Did I teach him better?
Well, he watched your videos and this and that.
Yeah.
So you as we close up, you have a web series,
Yes.
right? That you guys are almost done with, or you guys are
We
finished with it
finished
now?
shooting today, so let's say it's the first season. It's called Marino 2016. It's the adventures of me and a cast of wise guys from Italian descent running for president of the United States, and what would happen if we ran the country,
Yeah.
wise guy style.
Nice. So then when will people be able to see?
You can watch
this?
everything now
Oh,
on my
nice.
YouTube channel,
Okay, perfect.
Mike Marino Live.
Perfect.
You know,
Now-
maybe you'd like to take a part in one of my episodes. You'd be great. We'll have a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. See what happens?
This is it. This is it right here.
This is the way
it, guys. This
showbiz
is
works.
It.
I go,
This is it.
This is the way showbiz works. Unless he says call his agent, then it's not going to happen.
I almost wore that sweater because I have a sweater that says "Call my agent."
Oh, really?
Yeah, I wore it yesterday, and like people give you like the weirdest reactions to it, and like they'll like look at it, and because I don't have an agent yet, but I just like to wear it because I think it's hilarious. Like I wear it at work all the time, and like people love it, but like people who like aren't in Hollywood don't really like it.
You're not working with an agent, and you have your own show.
Yeah, I mean
That's just crazy.
friendships. That's really
Friendships.
friendships, and
I'm going to put you in my
relationships.
show, Marino 2016. We're going to come up with a great character for you to play. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
And then, I mean, come on. He's got his own show. That's Hollywood.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's Black Hollywood.
Oh.
There it is. So, no regrets. I know you don't like giving out advice, but because we do have young comics and we have, you know, people who are thinking about getting into it and this and that. So, a nice little nugget that you can bless people with?
You gotta really want it. And you want to be a stand-up comedian, this has got to be something you really want. It's not a hobby.
Yeah.
You can't just say, you know what, Tuesday I got nothing to do, I'm going to go to an open mic and tell a joke, and then work your 9-to-5 job and do your 40 hours a week. It's just not going to happen. This is hard, and it's difficult, and there's hundreds of us that do it.
Yeah.
You know? So if you really want to be a stand-up comedian, of course you have to have a survival job in this industry. You have a job that pays for your rent and your food and your clothes, and you have your stable. And then you go out every night, 2-3 nights, 2-3 places per night, and find out where an open mic is, and rehearse, and bomb as much as you can, and embrace the fact that you stunk, because that's the eventual joys of this.
Yeah.
I think I miss the days of getting on stage and just bombing, going, why did that stink? And going out to a restaurant and having coffee with like 10 comedians going, this is ridiculous. And then a couple years goes by and the joke just works for some reason. You're like, oh, I hit it. And it's in your stable. And then you keep on going, and then you start getting paid, and you start making a little bit of money, and then you get gas money, and then make more money. And all of a sudden, you know, I mean, I'm at a level right now that sometimes I walk out on stage in front of 1,000 people, and I'm like, holy crap, it worked.
Yeah.
It worked, and here's the check, and that's the room, and this is the money, and it's great.
Yeah.
So you got to really want it. You got to really want it.
Nice. So, okay, now, because that just reminded me of one more question before we
Sure.
wrap up. The first time you saw your name in lights on a marquee, what was that feeling?
You know, I've been asked that question before, and I summed it up like this. Take the greatest orgasm you ever had. Take the greatest drug you've ever done. The greatest tasting food you've ever eaten. Roll it up all into one. That's what that feels like. Yup.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, and people are like, yeah, we're here to see Mike Marino.
What did I just do recently? And the marquee was the electronic marquee, and it blinks, and it's the size of a 18-wheeler truck, and it's blinking your face.
Yeah.
You know, and you're all up there, and you're digital. And I'll walk right out into the middle of a place with my camera. I'm like, yup, that's me up there. Click, 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 click. Don't touch me. I'm clicking, click, click, click. You know, and now you could YouTube it and make videos of it. And it feels really, really great. And in the morning when the show's over and they take it down, it's like, what happened? Where's my sign?
Right.
Could you put it up again?
And then so walking out to, because what was the largest audience you've ever done?
7,500.
So walking out, 7,500 people. Is it more nerve-wracking with that many people, or with like 75 people in the audience?
You know, sometimes it's a little easier to get up in front of a large amount of people because you can't see them, and you can't hear them. You could just, and you got to go really slow because it I don't know what it would called, the travel of your voice goes a little slower, and it's almost like, you know, rock star level. And then when it's a small crowd, it's a lot more difficult because you can see, you can hear, and it's not as grand as having all those people. Now, if you have all those people, and let's say there's 7,500, even if 500 weren't laughing, 7,000 are, and they're cheering. And that's pretty much what you can hear and experience. It's a high. Recently, I did this particular show, and for some reason or other, I wanted to walk to the edge of the stage because some guy wanted to get a selfie. So I leaned in, and he put his hand up, and we took a selfie, and somehow some lady put her arm under my arm, grabbed my shoulder, and pulled me down so that she could get a selfie, and then it just kept on going. And everybody was getting selfies, and they're pulling you. Now, I'm enjoying this, because this is what I've lived for. This is what I worked so hard for. 6 security guards came from backstage, and like, Mr. Marino, and they're pulling me away. And I'm like, what's up? You know, I got liability.
Yeah, well, yeah.
liability. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even think that.
Right.
But yeah, you could get hurt.
Yeah, you can fall off the stage.
You could get hurt.
So where can people see you live next?
I'm going down to Laugh Factory tonight, which is in Long Beach.
Okay.
Laugh Factory, Long Beach. Then next week, I'm going to head back to New York for a while.
Nice.
So MikeMarino.net is the best way to find out where I'm going and what I'm doing. And of course, Mike Marino live on YouTube. People see the series.
Perfect, perfect. And where on Twitter can they find you?
Mike Marino live, Twitter, Mike Marino live, Instagram.
Do you have Snapchat?
I don't think so. I have somebody else does my social networking.
You should. You should download Snapchat, because I honestly feel that like your Snapchat stories will be fantastic. Or like people would just hate them, but they'll love to hate them, so they'll just keep watching.
I'm gonna get millions of people who hate me, but it
Right,
works.
but listen, as long as you get those eyes, because even like haters will still watch, you know. And like,
Snapchat. All right, I'll get on it.
yeah.
Snapchat,
But
Vine.
you have to do it. Like, don't have someone else do it. Like, because it's a very organic thing, and it's like a personal thing. But you know, because like DJ Khaled has like millions and millions of Snapchat followers, but like he does it. It's not like him having someone else do it unless he's like physically like on stage doing something. I'll have someone else do it. But every day, like if you're going to the grocery store or something and you think of something funny, then you can, you know, you may not use it on stage, but you can, boom, get that.
Snapchat. I'm on it.
And I'll delete that in 24 hours. So it's perfect. So if you want to send out a dick pic, you can do that as well. And it'll be and it'll be gone in 24
I don't think I'll be
hours.
doing that. Thank you, man.
Sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in. And as always, you know, you can find me all over the internet at the Nick Perdue. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
From executives Kevin Undergaro, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, and the entire BHL staff, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us. info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I am the official voice of Black Hollywood Live, Scipio, Instagram me at KingXOBay. Thanks for tuning in. The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.